So today I'm making a video that I was actually going to make quite a while ago, then I got sidetracked. So essentially I'm going to be giving advice to Northwind on what not to do and what to do, and how not to be an idiot. Will they listen? Probably not, but no one's ever tried this before, so I guess we're going to do it today. The most important thing I hear about Northwind all the time is that people say it's dead, but Northwind isn't actually dead, it's just dying. They're actually different because dead means it's already gone, and dying means it's not dead yet. It could still be saved. So essentially what a game needs to live is to gain players. So essentially what a game needs to live is to gain more players than it's losing. Now, there's a couple different ways you can lose and gain players. The biggest part of how you lose players is just people getting bored of your game, people moving on to other things. Inherently, people are going to leave eventually, no matter how good of a job you do. Though you can do a better or worse job of people who are playing a game and have them play the game longer or shorter, but nonetheless, they will eventually leave. Alternatively, they might just die. That happens too. Now, there's also another part that is caused by you, where, for example, if you make a stupid change to the game, the people that are playing it now are not going to want to play it, or at least a portion of them aren't, so they're going to leave. Now, to have a game that's not dying, you need to get new players that are larger than the amount of players you're losing. There's a few different ways you can do this, but essentially, they all boil down to some form of advertising, whether it may be actual, like, here's money, go advertise our game, or their friend tells them about the game. And essentially, when your friend tells you about a game, it's still a form of advertising. They're bringing something you didn't think about to your attention, even though it's not paid or anything. What essentially that does is it makes new people aware, and you have to put something in their brain that actually makes it want to play the game. For example, showcasing a mechanic or a feature that's really good, like combat or house building or like farming, or I don't know, whatever game you're making. It's got to have something that people want to click on it, and then once they're clicked on it, then they'll actually start discovering about the game. Here's the thing, Northwind's doing a lot of things really wrong, so I'm going to explain what they're doing wrong and how they can actually fix it. This isn't everything they do wrong, but it's a good portion of it. The first thing, I call them barriers to entry. Essentially, these are things that you have to get the full experience of Northwind. If you don't have these, you're not getting the full experience of Northwind. It can technically be possible for mobile players with horrible internet who have no access to Discord, crosshairs, and have no ability to touch the screen. It technically is possible for them to play Northwind, but it's not a very fun game. So once you start adding in things like having an internet connection and being able to tap the screen they have, suddenly they have a lot more enjoyment. So essentially, on a very basic level, that's what I'm going to be talking about here, is different things that get in the way of it. One of the first things they have is their rules. Now, you may ask about their rules. Well, how does that work? Essentially, their rules are on Discord. So the rules you can be banned for in your game are on Discord. So, in other words, when you see the game, except for like one itty-bitty thing on the opening page at the bottom that you have to scroll down to see, other than that, you would have no idea that there's actually a Discord attached to this game, or anything other than what you're getting. Just clicking on the game, you would immediately assume what you see is what you're getting, but you're not. A lot of times, I find that Northwind has like very weird rules, where essentially they won't tell you about their rules, and they won't even tell you they have rules that you're not reading, but then when you break those rules, they'll ban you for it. Yeah, it's not the best system. A couple things they could do is like, one, say, hey, check out the rules on Discord or whatever, or alternatively, you could say something like, here's a shortened version of the rules, to see the full thing, go here, or you could say like, there are more rules, you just can't read them, you could just be honest with them, like, yeah, we have more rules, but you're not allowed to read them, or something like that. That's a pretty big problem with the game as a base that they could fix. Now, a big portion of Northwind is trading. Essentially, the ability to talk with other people and put on ads on like Discord for like, hey, I'm selling this, you want to buy this, etc. It's a lot easier that way. But of course, if you don't have Discord, you can't get to trading. So there's not really much they can do about this one. This is just inherently something that they have to recognize. There are different things you could do to try and change it up, but normally that's just how it's going to work. Another big problem is internet connection. Now, on other games, it's not such a big deal, or if it is, they don't focus around that. But with Northwind, you can have such a bad internet connection that you can shoot your guns, but then the bullet will not fire. Your gun will still unload itself. So I don't know how the coding works there. Maybe that's just an unfortunate byproduct, and there's really nothing they can do about it. Spoiler alert, most of them may not be the most rich people in the world. I'll just leave it at that. Another barrier to entry is custom crosshairs. Now, it's not so much a barrier to entry as in like something as crucial as being able to interact with in-game things or being able to not get banned for rules that you didn't even know existed. But crosshairs are still a big part of combat, essentially. It's possible to do it without crosshairs, but the combat is significantly easier with a crosshair. Just a little mark on the middle of your screen that tells you where you're aiming. Because Northwind's aiming is like a funny thing, where it'll show you sort of a crosshair, I guess, an aiming indicator, I guess, but it won't actually tell you exactly where it's going to land, whereas with a crosshair you can get a much more precise estimate. However, the obvious downside is that there's no way to enforce against it, so how can they stop this? Well, there's a couple of different things they could do, and they'd have to remodel some sort of thing with their combat. They could, one, just install a crosshair for everyone so that instead of getting the funny aiming indicators that don't actually show you where you're aiming, you could just give everybody the precise aiming measurements. Option 2 is you could add an actual in-game accuracy debuff, so that even though you have a perfect aim in the middle of your screen, the bullet may not actually go there. So no matter how many screen GUIs you put over it with a custom third-party platform, it won't actually affect your gun accuracy. Those are just some of the things you can do. One of the things that I think is probably taking away the most players from Northwind by far, they're banning people who essentially actually play their game, want to play their game, and are dedicated to it, but their only crime is not knowing. Some of them even like have Discord. Most of them probably do, but they just aren't able to actually, but they just have no idea that they're supposed to go and read the rules because they don't know the rules exist. Other things are like door clipping, which is essentially shooting through a door. You may ask, well, wouldn't you have to be pretty dedicated to, aim through a door and shoot with like whatever complex emote glitch you have to do? Well, upon further inspection, Northwind intentionally made their doors so that you can shoot straight through them. Now, some people who obviously aren't reading the rules would think, oh, maybe this is a feature, wood isn't exactly the most bullet-resistant material known to man. But upon further inspection, at least their old rules, you used to be banned for doing this. So it's kind of like, again, they're banning dedicated players whose only crime is not being on Discord. A third thing that I think they definitely need to understand is the duping problem. I don't know how technically it works. I don't know if it's really difficult to fix or whatever, but surely there is some way to fix this problem or at least minimize it significantly. Every item you read, it could be fake or it could not be fake, and you don't know. And essentially, if it's a fake, it functions exactly the same as a real one, except you can get banned for it. Like, as far as I can tell, there's not a way to see it, other than that you know exactly who made it, and you know that you got it from that person. Other than that, I don't think there's anything to really make sure you're not duping. A thing I think is also costing them players is the island travel costs. Essentially, you have to pay coins, in-game coins, not real-life coins, to get to a separate island that's more advanced. And one big thing they complain about is not having enough players on these islands. But obviously with a cost incentive, it's not really worth it, because most players who are new don't really see a point in going on to these other islands. So putting in another money barrier in between them, you can't complain that they're not spending extra money to do something that they don't care about. I'm pretty sure that the owner was like supposed to go through like a game design school or something. How does he miss this stuff? Another thing is the infinite bank space glitch. You may be thinking, well, that glitch doesn't exist. You can't actually get infinite bank space. Well, you can't technically do it on the spawn island. They actually have a safe zone, but you can still build in it. So people build unraidable houses, and they can put as many chests as they want in it. And essentially, these are unraidable chests where they can store like millions and millions of dollars of gear inside of their base without having any bank space used up. Anyways, that's going to be it for this video. I wanted to try like talking about some other stuff other than just the commentary of the actual game itself. So if you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe for more. If not, tell me you didn't, and still like and subscribe for more. Alright, goodbye.